Welcome, everyone, to the continuing coverage of International Podcast Day 2018. And if you haven't seen what's been going on, it's been amazing. We've been on the air for a few hours now and just had some remarkable content from Trinidad, Tobago, from New Zealand, from the United States, and now we're moving on to Canada. And before we get too far, I want to talk about our sponsors real quick, because let me tell you, without them, there is no doing this. It just can't be done. And Hani, who is coming up next, is a gold sponsor. And, when it comes to repurposing your content, it's very important. And Hani's going to show you coming up very soon. We also have Blueberry. Blueberry has been our executive sponsor for the past 3 years, and we truly appreciate them. And also, we have, excuse me one second, Podcast Success Academy. So if you want more information about them, please go over to internationalpodcastday.com and check out all the great sponsors that we have this year. So I was a little out of whack there. I had too many screens open and couldn't read nothing, Hani.
It's all good. It's all good. Thanks for having me here.
So it is your platform. Enjoy your segment.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's having an awesome International Podcast Day. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Awesome that you're here with us. So today I'm going to do a little teaching about podcasting, a little bit about how to repurpose your podcast, how to get your podcast out there to the world. So I'm going to share my screen and just jump right into it. I'm going to have fun. I'm watching the chats. I got Andreas there. We got Angel. I got a lot of people watching. This is awesome. I'm super pumped. Let me just share my screen and let's just rock and roll here. And I will be watching the chat. So if there's anything that comes up, just drop me a hello. Say hi. Just love to hear from you. I'm watching on this screen. If someone can confirm quickly, you can see my slides. I'm in full screen mode. Just confirm you can see my slides. That would be super awesome. I'm going to start assuming all my screens are all shared properly. So I'm going to talk about, yep, awesome, good stuff. All right, so I'm going to talk about repurposing your podcast. 3 different places that your podcast must be to maximize your reach. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to use each effectively. Each one's a little bit different. So what are you going to learn today? I'm going to talk about 3 channels. Now, besides iTunes and Google Podcasts and Spotify, 3 other channels that your podcast should be on to get maximum reach. Why each channel is different from the others, and why that's important. And I'm also going to talk about how to use each one, little tips for each one to kind of get the most maximum exposure and grow your audience. Right? We all produce awesome content. We all want to get our content in front of our audiences and newer audiences as well. So that's what we're going to talk about. So who's this for? This is for all podcasters, everybody who's got content. Primarily audio podcasters, but really anybody who produces content who wants to be heard in as many places as possible, right? We put effort, we put time. We want people to hear our podcast. We want people to hear our message, right? So it doesn't matter what platforms they're on. You want to get out there and get people to know who you are, what you're talking about. So a little bit about me real quick. I live in Toronto, Canada. I got 2 girls. Favorite sports, basketball. They're always playing basketball. I haven't played as much lately, but I'm getting older, but it's all good. I try my best to keep up and keep in shape. Some interesting fact, my 9-year-old, she's kind of following my footsteps a little bit. She's got her own couple of videos recorded on YouTube. She even sat with me once to record some unreleased podcast episodes. She's even got her WordPress blog going. So she's really into this. She's really it's cool. It gets me excited, right? At that young age, she's really seeing what I'm doing and kind of following along and taking interest. So it's pretty exciting. And the past 5 years, myself, I've been in this podcasting space, content space for about 6 years. I've 5 years, created 6 different softwares and with about 5,000 plus users. So I've been doing this for 5 years, not centuries, but 5 years, but it's been a blast. I've been meeting a lot of friends, a lot of people in this space. It's been good times, and I love it. Podcasting is kind of how I got into this content marketing space. I'm a big video guy, but podcasting really is what really got me excited and creating all these tools that I've created. So, anyways, back to the content. So, why do we need to repurpose our podcast? So, what does repurpose mean? Repurpose means taking your audio podcast typically and converting into different types of mediums so that you can share it out on different platforms. So, why do we need to do this? Well, it's kind of the best. Well, podcasting itself is a great opportunity to connect with your audience, right? It's very personal. You're in their ears, you're in their head, they're listening to you in headphones typically. So it's a very personal relationship. Podcasting, that's what makes it amazing. But the problem is a lot of people don't know how to listen to podcasts, or they don't know what podcasts are, but they're still interested in your content, or your content is meaningful, it's helpful for them. So by putting your show out in different places, like places where they hang out, so not people who don't know what podcasts are, but they're hanging out on Facebook, on YouTube, on social media, you want to get your content in front of them so they can consume it. And it also gives you a bonus of the perception of you being everywhere, right? So they can find you on iTunes, they can find you on social media platforms. So that feeling where they can find you anywhere is very, very important when you're trying to reach a bigger audience. Okay, so the three things we want to do, the three places we want to put our podcast. I'll just tell you right up front, there's no surprises here. Not going to leave you hanging. We're here to teach. We're here to educate. We're here to answer questions and hear feedback from people as well, right? So the three places are that I want you to put your podcast. I want you to put it on YouTube. I want you to put it on Facebook. And I want you to put it on your website. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these platforms, kind of how to do it and how to take advantage and tweak it so you get the most out of it. All right, YouTube, number one. YouTube is a search engine. It's the number 2 search engine in the world. These stats might be a few months old, but there's about 3 billion searches per month, 5 billion videos watched on YouTube every single day. That's insane. And YouTube itself gets 30 million visitors. So we all know YouTube is a beast. It's a powerhouse. It's where people go to search, right? It's a powerful search engine. So, and then another thing, podcasting is awesome because it's mobile. YouTube is also mobile. People consume YouTube. Mobile viewing sessions last more than 40 minutes. Now, I don't think this means someone's sitting there watching a 40-minute episode, but there's people who spend 40 minutes on YouTube consuming content. And to more stats, there's total number of hours watched on YouTube each month, $3.25 million. So, YouTube's awesome. We know that. There's a bunch of numbers to back that up. So the interesting thing about YouTube is they don't always watch, right? Many YouTubers YouTube viewers say click, play, and they continue with their work. They may be sitting in the office. They may be kind of putting in their car. I do that sometimes, just hit play and, leave my phone and just don't watch it, right? I just listen to the content. So it's not, it is a visual platform, but people use it as another platform to consume content. And now there's YouTube Music that's coming out. It came out in Canada fairly recently. It hasn't been around in Canada very long. So you can actually listen, lock your phone and listen in the background if you have, I think it's called YouTube Music. So they know the power, YouTube knows that people consume content, don't always watch. But still, you try to when you do want to put your content onto YouTube, you do want to have a little visual effect to at least capture their interest because it is a visual platform. And, you want to at least capture that initial, have a visual appeal so we catch their interest up front. So here's what you need to do. Kind of walk you through the high level steps. I'm talking about podcasters who have an audio podcast primarily. If you have a video podcast, super easy to get onto YouTube. You can upload it. If you have an audio podcast, how do you get the audio onto YouTube? So you want to convert that audio into a moving dynamic video. So, you can do with a static image, nothing wrong with that. But if you can add some kind of dynamic, some kind of waveform, some kind of, moving images, you want to do that before you put it on YouTube, if you can do that. Another important thing, you want to include a call to action and a link. Now, YouTube is very generous. YouTube lets you take the first 2 lines of any description on YouTube. So when someone's watching your video on YouTube, it's visible without someone having to click, the show more button. So it's always there. That's one thing. So you want to take advantage of those first 2 lines. And the second thing is YouTube lets you put clickable links. they let you put a link that can send people to your website or to your show notes page or to anywhere you want, as long as you put an HTTP colon backslash backslash before it. So in your first two lines, put a call to action. If your podcast show is on YouTube, this particular episode, you can say, for the full show notes, visit www.hanimourra.com/episode 1, something like that. So you want to send people very clear call to action, what to do when they're watching the video. So you got 2 lines to do that within the YouTube description. Take advantage of it for sure. Other thing is you want to do your keyword research. You don't want to spend hours. Okay, this is not an SEO course. I'm not an SEO expert, but I know you do things that take a few minutes. You do a little bit of research, and it goes a long way with YouTube, because YouTube, it is videos, and YouTube is getting better at listening to actual videos and audios in your videos to rank them. But if you put keywords, it just helps you rank a little better in YouTube. My quick tip, my fan, 1 minute of SEO teaching. Again, I'm not an expert, but this is the things that I do. Is you do one keyword kind of every episode. Every video has one main keyword, and then you can add up to 9 other related keywords. And I use the free tool from Google AdWords. It's called a Google AdWords Keyword Planner. And you kind of type in some words, and it gives you some words that are related and are highly searched, or it gives you numbers about how many times these words have been searched and how much competition there is. So it gives you an idea on how to pick your keywords. But I always kind of pick one as your main one and use that main one in your title. If you can do it in the beginning, that'll be even awesomer. But I don't think awesomer is a real word, but it'd be more awesome if you put that keyword in the beginning. And if you don't, if you can't, or it sounds too awkward, just put it as close to the beginning as you can. And then if you can, throw in the related keyword, one of those 9 other related keywords, put them in the title as well, at least one more. It just gives you a little extra boost, a little extra bonus. And also in your description, when you write your description, you want to do keywords there as well. The same keywords in your description. Don't overdo it. You don't want to sound like you're just saying the same word over and over and over again. Try to be natural with it. Put it in a few times. But make it sound natural. That's key. Google, YouTube is smart. You don't want to mess with them and start stuffing keywords in your description or even your title. And that's it. Let's move on. If you do transcripts, if you have a podcast and you already do your transcripts, you get them transcribed. There's services like rev.com or temi.com. I'm sure there's others out there, but those two are the first 2 that come to mind. Once you have your transcription, upload it to YouTube. Put that on YouTube, because that kind of gives context to your episode, and then that will help you rank for certain words if you're using those keywords in your actual podcast. You're actually saying these words. This transcription will help tell Google what the video is about, which will help get your content more discovered if that's what people are searching for. All right. Yes. Awesomer. That is the new word. I love it. You guys are awesome. Awesomer. Okay. Playlists. So YouTube is cool because it gives you a chance to make playlists. So you got a podcast, makes total sense, because your YouTube channel may not only be your podcast. It may be other content you put out there. But if when you do put your podcast, make a single playlist just for your podcast, order it from oldest to newest. That's my preference. So you can do newest to oldest. It doesn't matter. The beauty of a playlist is somebody can listen to one episode. They can easily discover the other episodes. If you just have them on your main channel, not inside a playlist, people may not know that there's a series or multiple episodes. So just another way to get more views. More awesomer. I love it. Monitor your YouTube stats. So YouTube is really good at telling you how many people watch your videos, how many people, how far they get, how long they're watched. So it's really important to kind of keep an eye on it, see which episodes are getting traction and which ones are not. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. If you're not getting a lot of traction on YouTube, or certain episodes are getting traction on YouTube, maybe you'll create more of those types of episodes. So YouTube gives you some really interesting stats. You just log into a YouTube account, have a look, see how long people are watching, where they're dropping off, and make adjustments as you go along as well. Okay, so how do you actually do this? how do you actually get an audio podcast onto YouTube? There's different ways. Option one is to kind of do it yourself the manual way. You would take some video editing software, iMovie, or I'm a Mac guy, so I say iMovie if you're into that stuff. I use ScreenFlow and stuff for my video editing. Any video editing software, basically you take the audio and then you superimpose a picture, usually a picture on it, your cover art or something like that you design. And then, if you want to, you could also put some like waveform. There's some tools you can buy some plugins to animate some waveforms, moving dynamic waveform, audio waveforms, so that it looks more visual. But the kind of problem with this is it takes time, right? It takes a lot of time and, a little bit of skill as well. So option two is to hire somebody, of course. Video editors are amazing. They charge money. They can get you the video, then you're responsible for uploading it. And then the reason why I created repurpose.io is because this is kind of this is an annoying thing. And by doing it, by having a tool that automates it, that's super awesome and that's super inexpensive and super easy to use. And it doesn't require any video editing experience. And it actually uploads the video for you. So that's what Repurpose does. It actually, very easy to use. It connects, all you need to do is connect your podcast feed. You just put in your feed into our system. You connect your YouTube account, and then you make what's called a workflow. And you can either turn on auto publish, or you can actually publish one by one if you want. And there's no video editing experience required. You can choose one of our templates or upload your own templates. And then it actually does everything for you. It takes the audio into video, it adds an animated waveform, and it uploads it to YouTube as well. So as Steve mentioned in the beginning, if you head to repurpose.io/IPD, we do have a discount there. We're the gold sponsor for one of the gold sponsors for podcast International Podcast Day. So you can check it out. You can try it for free, and then you can also save 25% on the plans as well. All right, that was YouTube. I went a little fast, but I do want to have time for questions at the end. I'm doing good on time here. Facebook. That's number 2. You want to go to Facebook. Actually, I'm just going to hop on. Some people are saying that the screen freezes every now and then. It is. Try the YouTube channel if it isn't working. Oh, maybe the live stream maybe is chopping up. If anybody can still see me, which I hope you can, just send me a hello or a quick hi. Yep, all good. I'll keep going. Actually, thank you, Jim. So number 2, yeah, if you're having trouble, hit refresh and you refresh the page. You should be all good to go. Or yeah, you can watch it on YouTube. Facebook, number 2. So we talked about putting your audio podcast on YouTube. Now I want to talk about putting it on Facebook. Why would you want to put your podcast on Facebook? And here, I just want to clarify here, I mean the same thing as what we did for YouTube. I mean, taking your audio, putting it as a video on YouTube. And why do you want to put it as a video? Because Facebook loves video. Facebook does not like Google and YouTube. Facebook loves video. Right? Native video gets 10 times more higher reach compared to sharing a YouTube link. So you don't want to put it on YouTube and then make a post and embed the YouTube, you link to the YouTube. Facebook does not like that. Facebook used to show the videos from YouTube, and now they just don't do it, right? They don't want you to consume YouTube videos. Facebook wants you to watch Facebook videos. Facebook videos have increased in terms of everyone's feed by 360%. So more and more people are seeing videos. There's a whole bunch of stats here. I'm not going to ramble on stats. There's a lot of people watching a lot of videos on Facebook every day. So Facebook really is becoming another central hub for video consumption. And Facebook users are passionate. There's some interesting stats. 60% of podcast listeners frequent social media platforms several times a day. Now, what's interesting is while you're on Facebook, this is also me personally, when I'm on Facebook, I'm there to catch up with friends and see what's going on. I don't want to click a link that takes me away from Facebook, because that's kind of annoying, because I'm there to be on Facebook. I spend a lot of time on Facebook, but that's a different story. Yeah. So when I'm there, I want to consume content there. So by having a video uploaded natively to Facebook, like an actual video, you say upload to Facebook, people, when they're scrolling their feed, they'll see it. And if it catches their attention, they will stop and they hit play, or it will start auto playing depending on their settings. So people can listen and consume your content right on their news feed, which is powerful. You're not asking anybody to take an action of clicking. They're just consuming your content right on Facebook, your video. They're listening to your video on Facebook. And also nowadays, I've seen this more and more now. You can actually, while you're watching a video, you have the ability, at least on mobile, I think on desktop too, you can actually, while you're watching a video, continue scrolling your feed. So someone can still be doing what they wanted to do, scroll the feed and catch up on what's going on, but they can still have that video playing on its own, which is really cool. So Facebook just lets people, or wants people to watch video. So kind of going to go through the same steps. There's a couple of small subtle differences I want to mention. Same thing we did with YouTube, take the audio, put some kind of dynamic moving image, moving waveform, and turn that into a video. It could be the same video you created in the first step for YouTube. My second tip here is you want to upload it to your Facebook page. So if you don't have a page, make a page and put that on. And the reason why you want to put on a page is because the Facebook pages gives you more video analytics than your personal profile. So with personal profile, if you upload it to your personal profile, you only get like how many times, how many views, and that's about it. On a page, you get analytics like how many views, average time watched, that kind of stuff. So you get a lot more details by posting it to a page. Then you can always take that post, that video post you just uploaded to your page, you can share that to your personal profile. So if you have a big following who follow you on your personal profile, who are not, who haven't liked your page yet, you can definitely just share that post. And the cool thing is, when you share a post, all the views, you can track all the views on one place. So all the views, people who watch on your personal or who watch on your page, all get tracked under one place. If you got a guest on your show, tag them in the comments so they get notified. And then that's just extra reach, because most likely they're going to go and share that with their audience as well. Okay. Interesting here is that a lot of videos, I don't know exactly these stats have changed over time, but 85% I watch videos without sound. So having some kind of moving images will just get people to be more, to know it's a video. If it's a static image, may not necessarily be obvious it's a video, but if they have some kind of moving dynamics, it kind of, especially some kind of animated waveform, it just tells people, all right, there's something to listen to, so they can click that unmute button on the bottom right. Just gives them more reason to unclick, to unclick the mute, to unmute so they can listen. And when it comes to transcripts, same kind of deal. If you have a transcript, you can also upload that to Facebook along with your video, and it basically will give the text. It will give the transcription. It will sync it up with the video, and it will show up on people. The actual text will show up, like closed captioning kind of thing, on top of the video. So even if people don't turn the sound on, they can still stop and watch and see if your video's, something they want to listen to or not. So definitely, if you're already doing transcripts, why not? You're already doing it. So you definitely want to put that on and upload that to YouTube. Similar to Facebook, sorry. Similar to YouTube, you also want to put a call to action. You want to send people, you want people to consume your episode on Facebook, but afterwards, or even if you don't get through the whole episode, you want to send them to some kind of page, right? Ultimately, we're using social media, Facebooks and YouTube, to draw traffic back to our website, our home base. So you want to get people back to your homepage if you can. By putting the content on Facebook, you basically you get people excited. They can listen to the content without leaving Facebook. But if they're engaged enough, give them an opportunity to click a link. Tell people you can download, I don't know, you can go get the full transcription on the show notes page, or you can say, they have some kind of giveaway they're giving on the landing page. Don't be afraid to put a link in your Facebook videos, in the description of your Facebook videos. Because ultimately, we want people to join our email list and engage with our audience even further. All right, take a quick sip here. And the last place, I'm going really quickly here because I do want to jump back with questions. I might even do a little demo if people want to see a little bit more about repurpose. I'm happy to do a quick demo about how this all works, but I want to get all the teaching done and all the questions answered and the conversations going before we do any further. I want to make sure we have time for that. So we talked about YouTube. We talked about uploading the same video or similar video to Facebook. And the last place, which kind of seems obvious, but sometimes not so obvious, is your website. You want to have the episode on your website so people can listen to it on your own website, on your own home base. You'd be surprised how many people don't have a website for their own podcast. To me, it's a huge, huge mistake. So, why do you want to put on your website? First thing is you get some search engine. All right, you get people coming in. You can tweak your website post, what people call the show notes page. You can tweak that, put the keywords in, do some SEO so that those pages can be found when people are searching. That's number one. Number two, I think is maybe probably more important, is you're giving a chance for someone to come to your site, someone who's not necessarily technical or doesn't know what a podcast is. Someone comes to your site and can click a button and consume your content without having to know what iTunes or Stitcher or Google Podcasts or what Spotify is. They can just come to a page, click a button, and listen. And that's what it's really all about. Super easy. You want to make it super easy for people to consume your content. It's also content for your channel, for your brand, right? If you have a blog, your podcasts are a form of content. So why wouldn't you put your episodes either in, as part of your blog or maybe another section of your blog? Why wouldn't you put you there? There's no reason why you wouldn't do it. Another important reason is you want to collect email addresses, right? You want to have a two-way conversation with podcasting or videos or any kind of content you create, you put out there. You're so kind of a one way. You're putting content out, people are consuming. To have a further conversation, you want to engage with people. You want to get more intimate, ask more questions, get them to know more about your product, services, whatever it is your objective. You can't go too far with that until you get them on an email list. So it's hard to collect email. It's impossible to collect email addresses on Facebook or on YouTube, but on your site, you can put email opt-in boxes, on your sidebars, etc. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. So just having it on your website is a great chance to capture email addresses. And if you don't have a place or a way to capture email addresses, I think kind of that's the first thing you want to do on your list. If you learn anything from this thing, is capture email addresses on your website. And then for some people who like to read more than listening, or they can't listen because they're at work or that kind of thing, people can, especially if you have your transcripts, people can consume your content, read your transcripts all on your site. And it's just, people like to read, people like to watch, people like to listen. So kind of having your content in all different platforms makes it easier for them to consume it in the way they want to. All right, so what do you got to do? You need to make it super easy for someone to come to your website and just have a nice, clear player with a play button on it. Like, you don't want to hide this. My recommendation is putting it on top if you can, if not to hide it down later on the post. The first thing they see is a nice player with a play button that's obvious so they can click and start listening. So there's several options for that. This is very important. A lot of people who listen to podcasts are usually on the go. They're usually on their phones. So make sure that whatever player you use on your website is mobile friendly. That people can, on their mobile devices, you don't see a tiny little player. You can see it nice and clear. You click play, bada boom, bada bing. They're listening to your episode right from their phone off your website. So make that super easy. Add buttons. So once they're on your site, they may not know that you have a podcast. They may just stumble across your site, or they may be someone who's probably subscribed to your blog, but have buttons that encourages people to subscribe, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts. So have buttons that say, hey, subscribe to me on these channels. So that when people realize, like when people realize, oh, they got a podcast on iTunes, and with one click, they're automatically added to their iTunes on their phone. It's like, oh, there we go. Like it just makes that transition a lot easier. So, and people who don't know will be curious. They'll click a button, they'll give it a go, and see what happens. But by having them on, like subscribe to some kind of platform, the beauty is they get notified automatically. Like if let's say I subscribe to your podcast on iTunes, then every time you release a new episode, my phone will tell me right away. So I don't have to send out emails or reach out to them. It just happens automatically. So getting them to subscribe to you on iTunes or Google Podcasts or Spotify, it's just an extra bonus. I mentioned this earlier, email opt-in box. If you're not doing this, you need to do this. Stop what you're doing. Maybe not right now, but maybe tomorrow, maybe on Monday. Get some kind of email opt-in box on your site. There's free tools like MailChimp or ConvertKit. There's a lot of tools out there. It doesn't matter. Get some kind of email opt-in box on your site. If you can do it close to the player, somewhere where where their eyes and their focus is at the moment when you land on your page, do it. If you can do in the sidebar, anywhere you can, put at least one email opt-in box on your site. And you might want to offer them something good, something valuable. So it's totally up to you. Like if you can tell people, hey, you get notified about new episodes. I'm not a huge fan of that. Like you got to give them a little more, right? So depending on what your podcast is about, or if you have any products or services, give them some kind of incentive, some kind of giveaway in exchange for an email address. All right. So give them a reason to visit your show notes page. So a lot of people who listen, especially people who are listening to you on their devices. Let's say I'm already a subscriber and I'm listening to the episodes on iTunes. I may not have incentive to come to the show notes page. So you kind of want to give them, you want to tell them why should me who's listening on, on Apple Podcasts come to the show notes page, right? You want me to go there because you want me to opt in. Like as a producer, you want people to come to your site so that they can opt into your email list at some point, and you can have a deeper conversation with them. Tell them more about your products or services. Tell them more about what else you're up to. But as a listener, what's the incentive? So a couple of things that I thought of is if you can summarize the episode, and if you have some kind of timestamps on like some 5 to 10 key takeaways, that's one reason. You can tell people in your episode, hey, if you visit the show notes page on handymourra.com/episode 1, or whatever episode you're at, you can tell them, hey, you can come there. We summarize the 5 key takeaways, and you got the exact time, so they can go there. If you can make those timestamps clickable, then they can click right in and jump to those particular sections of the episode. That's a good reason to get people back to your site, because if you send them back to your site and there's no timestamps or no summary, they have to re-listen to the whole episode. It's they might as well re-listen to it on their phones, on their iTunes or podcasts players. So give them incentive, summarize it, some key takeaways. If you can put timestamps in there, it's even better. And if you do transcripts, let them know. Hey, let them know they can come back and get the full transcripts if they visit your show notes page on your site. So you can give them some reason to go back to your site. You can use, if you're looking to optimize, I mentioned SEO is very important. You can optimize the show notes pages using one of my, I want to say most obvious plugin is the Yoast SEO plugin. If you're on WordPress, it's a great tool. I use it for myself for optimizing posts. Kind of walks you through the process. Yeah, that's all I have to say about websites. How are we doing on time here? Oh, we got lots of time. Okay, awesome. So just to quickly summarize, 3 places you want to do. You want your 3 places your podcast must be. We talked about YouTube as a video, Facebook as a video, and your website, which could be an audio. And yeah, if you do all three, this is obviously on top of adding your podcast to all the most popular podcast directories. So I'm not the first thing you do when you launch a podcast, you typically want to get it on iTunes. You want to try to get it on Spotify and Stitcher and Google Podcasts. That's number one. You get that done, you get that in place. You apply, you get approved. That should be your number one focus. Once you have that down, and that's kind of a one-time setup. Once those are all submitted and approved, there's not much work, not any work to do there anymore. Now, every time you release a new episode, you want to get it out to these three other channels. So your website, a lot of people do it. If you're not doing it, highly recommend it. YouTube and Facebook, not a lot of people are doing it. I'm seeing more and more people doing it now, putting it as videos so that you are basically in front of your audience where they hang out most. All right, and I mentioned earlier you can try out this repurpose.io tool that will take all your audio podcasts and put them on as videos with a nice animated waveform and uploads them directly to YouTube and to Facebook for you. And you can try it out at repurpose.io/IPD. And yeah, there's a discount as well, 25% discount if you go through that link as well. So that's all I had to say. I'm going to catch a drink of water real quick and catching up on some of the questions, comments, discussions. And, I just, drop your questions, drop your feedback, drop any comments. If you're doing things on YouTube already, I'd love to hear that as well. I'm just love to hear what you guys are up to and who's doing this, who's not doing this. And yeah, let's just get the conversation going. I'm going to scroll up and see what people are saying. All right. So Patrice is saying started doing video around December. Podcast launched in September. Awesome. Yeah, Patrice. Oh, so you've been using Repurpose? That's awesome. That's amazing. So you hit 300,000 downloads before the 1 year anniversary. That's amazing. Great work. Yeah, the idea is to keep your content everywhere, right? I tell people ask me like, how do you I don't get a lot of views on YouTube and I don't get a lot of views on Facebook, but the idea is you're not going to get thousands of views on these platforms. The idea is you're in front of your audience or in front of your potential audience in the places they hang out on. So if people who hate Facebook or never go to Facebook, who don't know what a podcast is, but they're hanging on YouTube and they kind of spend time there researching, watching a ton of videos, they're going to find your content. From there, they can learn more about how to get to your site. So you're gonna get discovered. That's the whole idea. You're not gonna get thousands of views and you're gonna have 1 million views on your YouTube video. No, that's not what's gonna happen. But you are gonna reach people who would never have heard of you if you weren't on YouTube or if you weren't on Facebook. If people hang out on Facebook all the time, if every episode shows up right in front of them, especially if they like your page, every episode comes up and they can, listen to it for the first few minutes or stick around for 20 minutes. Who knows, right? You'll know once you get the data. You're basically putting it out there and then getting people who would never found your podcast, get them to listen and ultimately go to your site or ultimately become audio podcast subscribers from finding you on Facebook. All right, awesome. I'm not seeing a lot of questions here. We have all the video music page on the website. All right, very cool. Reaching out to people on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, Periscope can open up your website traffic to more. Yep, it's a good tip. Awesome. We still got another 20 minutes or so I'm happy to take any questions. Demo. All right, demo. Let's do it. People want to see demo? I'll do demo. Absolutely. So we got lots of time for that. I'm going to jump to my screen here. So before I get into the demo, I just want to show you, people are wondering what repurpose videos look like, right? So this is a sample of what a video will look like. I'm going to quickly play it. So it's got an animated waveform. It's got the titles automatically added into the video. So every video will be unique. And this is your iTunes cover art or your episode specific cover art. If you have that, depending which podcast host you're using, you can upload an episode specific. And everything else behind it is your template. So we have 6 templates you can choose from, or you can design your own. And so you're designing a template one time, and the repurpose software will on top of it put the title, put the waveform, and put your iTunes cover art automatically. So I'll walk you through it, how simple it is to do this. So repurpose.io, you create an account, you can try it for free. So the first thing you want to do is go to the connections page. I got a few things connected here. You can ignore that. I'm going to add an audio podcast really quick. Say add connection, give it a name. So I'm going to say Hani's podcast. Here you can, if you have your iTunes URL, you can paste it. Or if you know your podcast feed, this is my test feed that I'm using. You can paste your feed right in. So you're not pasting in the episode. You're just pasting your actual podcast feed, the one that you submitted to directories like iTunes. So there's a one-time process. You connect it, say success. It's all good. Then my next thing is I'm going to add my YouTube channel. So I'm going to say connect my YouTube, add connection. I'm going to give it any name I want. Hani's YouTube. Say connect. Pop up. It just asks me to sign in. Can basically give repurpose access to my Google account, which is like repurpose trying to access my video account so I can upload videos on it. I'm just going to say allow. All right, giddy up. We're in, success, and we're done. So you can add a lot more, repurpose a lot of cool stuff, and you can do crazy things. I'll talk, if we have more time, I'll talk about it later. But what I wanted to show you is, so we added connections. These are one-time setups. Then we go to workflow. So workflows are the rules. So we say, well, let's just do it. I'm going to create a new workflow. I'm going to say whatever title I want, Hani's podcast to YouTube, let's say. I'm going to say next. So it's going to ask me, what's my input? Like, what am I repurposing? I'm repurposing my audio podcast. If you have multiple podcasts, you can add them here. But since I've only connected one podcast, it shows up here, Hani's podcast. So that's the in. That's what's the data we're going to repurpose. What's my action? Well, I'm going to convert that audio. It's an audio podcast. Convert the audio into a video. Perfect. Nothing to do there. Say next. Now, where do I want to send that video? I send that video. I can send it to a whole bunch of different places like Dropbox and Facebook, etc. But in this demo, I want to send it to YouTube. So boom, and the YouTube. Now, I mentioned playlists earlier. You can choose a playlist if you have one already on your YouTube account. If you don't, you can say, my awesomer playlist. And create it. I can create it right here. I don't have to leave the software. I can make my playlist. Now it's already there on YouTube. And I'm going to create the workflow. So this is cool. So if I say view episodes, before I do anything, if I click view episode, it shows me all my episodes. These are all my podcasts on my feed. It shows me my thumbnail of the art, cover art that's related to the episode. And if I wanted to, I just hit publish and it goes. But that's how simple it is. But before I do that, I wanted to show you how a couple settings you can do. So I can go into the settings place here. Here's where you can choose. We have 6 different templates. So what a template looks like, you can click on preview. It shows you up front. So again, template's just the background. We superimpose the title of that episode, the waveform, and that thumbnail from your podcast feed for every episode. So it makes the video look different. Everything else is the same, the background image. And if you don't like any of these templates, you can go ahead and upload your own. We give you specs on how to design it. In Canva, in 5 minutes, you can make a template. It's super easy to do. But just for demo, I'm going to pick, let's say this one here. we got some cool things. You can change the color of the waveform. If you want to brand it your colors, you can change that waveform I showed you earlier. Instead of white, you can make any color you want. We recently added intros, outros. So if you have a bumper video that you do for all your YouTube videos that has your logo on it, you can have that come in the beginning before the actual video of the podcast comes out. Or you can have a closing outro as well. So those are optional. I'll leave them blank for now. Here you can set up your call to actions. You can have the same call to action on every single episode in the YouTube description. So you don't have to type it in every time. They'll automatically add it for you. And then you can add your keywords. If we talked about important keywords, then you can set the privacy. I'm not going to go into too much details on this, but I wanted to show you how you pick a template and hit save. And then hit view episodes. You can see all your episodes and just hit publish. It's going to pop up. It's going to show you what it's going to look like in before it goes to YouTube. It'll show you the title, description. If you want to tweak anything, let's say I don't like this, I wanted to go to whatever I want, hanimourra.com. You can tweak this if you want, and you can hit publish now. And then, in a few seconds, it's going to go queued. If I refresh the page, it might take a few minutes depending on how many things are being processing on our servers. And it'll, depending on how long this is going to take, depending on how many jobs are currently running, so it might take a few minutes. So I'll leave it for now. But at the end of the day, you can sit here and publish 1, 2, 3, choose the episodes you want to send to YouTube, and you'll get basically this video here, like I showed earlier. Or this is where the fun part is. You can go right here, turn on this publish mode, switch it from manual to auto. It does two things here. If you go to view episodes now, it's queued up all my episodes. So now I basically take my whole entire podcast, adds it to the queue. I can go to bed, and it's just going to do its thing. It's going to make every single video and upload it to YouTube while I'm sleeping. My computer can be off. It doesn't matter. Everything's running on our servers. And the beauty is, after, let's say tomorrow you publish an episode, you don't have to log in to repurpose. It just happens automatically. So it detects a new episode. It's like, oh, I'm going to make the video and publish it out as well. So once you have auto, you don't need to log in to repurpose anymore. It's completely automated. And it's pretty sweet. It's really sweet. You can try it for free. You can publish 4 episodes. You'll see it. You'll fall in love. It's so easy. And then you can create a whole ton of different workflows. You can do this, make another one that says, podcast to Facebook. You can do, we've integrated Facebook Live. You can do a lot of cool stuff with Facebook Live. And from a podcasting perspective, you can take a Facebook Live and have it convert to audio and sent to Libsyn, for example, if you're using Libsyn, or SoundCloud. You can have a Facebook Live go to YouTube if you want the video just to go to YouTube. There's so much you can do. We've added Dropbox and Google Drive so that you can send a copy of your Facebook Lives as audios to your Dropbox in case you want to upload it. There's so much repurposing you can do. I didn't want to cover all that and overwhelm you, but as a podcaster, these are kind of the two things you want to do: is get it onto YouTube and then make another workflow to get it onto Facebook. All right. Just catching my water refill here. So I'm just going to turn off the auto publish here. Any other questions? So that was repurpose in a nutshell. If you head on to the site, you can learn about all the different things you can repurpose. You can do audio podcast to videos. You can do Facebook Lives to YouTube. You can, if you have an audio podcast, you want to kind of get more exposure on SoundCloud, you can have all the episodes go to SoundCloud. You can do Facebook Lives to audio podcasts. And right now we support Libsyn and SoundCloud, but we're going to be integrating with other platforms as well, like Blueberry and podcast websites and other platforms as well. If you got a video podcast, you can have that automatically go to YouTube as well. We've connected as an interesting service called Binge Networks, which publishes your content on 50 different TV networks. So you can go directly to that from your audio podcast, or Facebook Lives to that. You can go to other pages or groups. You can back up your audio and videos to Dropbox and Google Drive. There's so much you can do with Repurpose. I highly encourage you to give it a go and try it out. It's free to try out for 4 episodes. All right, awesome. We've got about 10 more minutes, so I'm happy to answer any questions and discuss anything. Maybe it sounds like a few people here are already using. Yeah, so someone's saying I have, Steph's saying I have 3 podcasts. I see Repurpose the prices per podcast. Actually, Repurpose is not per podcast. Repurpose with the podcaster plan is 1 podcast feed, but if you have the content marketer plan, which is $20 a month, plus the discount for signing up through the International Podcast Day, you can do up to 5 podcasts. So you can hook up 5 different podcast feeds with the content marketer plan. That's a great question.
Hey, Hani, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, I got from the chat room a couple of questions. One of them was, can you use a template, a different template per episode?
Different template per episode? You could, but it's not really ideal because you'd have to go in and publish an episode and go and change the template and publish another episode. So in theory, yes, but the whole idea is you use the same template for all the episodes, especially if you want to use it in auto publish.
Gotcha.
But what you could do is you could upload. See how I have these thumbnails here? You can upload if you have an episode with a guest on it. You can basically upload that thumbnail of the guest, and then it will show up in the video automatically as that square image in the video. So that's one way of making each video unique, is that your guest could show up here instead of the generic artwork. So that's something you would upload to your podcast platform like Libsyn or Blueberry, and then that will show up on Repurpose automatically.
Okay, and lastly, can it go backwards, convert YouTube to audio?
Unfortunately not, because YouTube doesn't allow it. YouTube doesn't allow us to download the episodes. So there's no legal way to download a YouTube video. Legal way. So unfortunately not, but we do support Facebook Live. So you can do a Facebook Live, and then we can get the audio off that episode, give you a chance to add an intro, outro, and you can send that audio to either Libsyn, SoundCloud, or to Dropbox, Google Drive.
And lastly, for me, I want to throw you and the audience a bone. And we talked about players on websites, and there was some discussion in the chat room. But would you mind just briefly going ahead and discussing a quick product that we actually use at International Podcast Day called Simple Podcast Press?
Yeah, so Simple Podcast Press is one of our WordPress plugins. It's a podcast player that does a lot of the stuff I talked about in the presentation. It has clickable timestamps, mobile friendly. It's I can show it quickly. It is on the website, the one that you see on the website. I'm glad that you brought that up, because the podcast player, the timestamp feature, is one of the unique things about Simple Podcast Press. It's basically, so someone's listening to an episode, they can click a timestamp in the show notes, and the player will jump to that time. So it's really cool. It's a great way to, like I said, get people to navigate your audio without having to re-listen to the whole episode. You get them the key takeaways, they can click it, and the player jumps to those times. So yeah, that's I'm glad you mentioned that you guys are using it on internationalpodcastday.com, and then also it's an option for a podcast player. Yeah, I'm trying to follow up with the comments as well. I think my comments froze, and I refreshed the page, and there's a whole bunch of activity that I've been missing. So very cool. Okay, this is awesome. So any more questions? I'd love to answer more questions. I think we do got another 5 minutes ish. Yeah. So the way I look at it, I mean, simple podcast press. Another thing I didn't mention is this is not only a player; it also can automatically publish any episode to your WordPress site. So that if you don't have a show notes page yet for a site, or you don't have a website where you put every single episode on it, you can import every single episode. It'll make a new blog post for every episode and add the player automatically if you have the simple podcast press WordPress plugin. That's awesome. Thank you, Blaze. Thank you. Yeah, like these tools, honestly, from the feedback I've been getting, it's just people are saving a ton of time. Whether you're doing audio podcasts or you're doing live streams, people are like taking live streams now. They're taking Facebook Lives and making into podcast episodes so that you don't have to create the content twice. So the whole idea of repurposing, it's a huge time saver. And besides the value of getting it on different platforms, it's a huge time saver because doing it manually, it's unbearable. Like you can't download episodes and then convert them to video. You can't do that for every single. You can hire people, but it's from the at the price point of repurpose. We're at like you can start at $12 a month. You can't pay somebody $12 a month to do what repurpose does. So it's a huge. The feedback is that it's the value's there. It's a huge time saver. There's a question from Leanne about do you have to put the timestamps in manually? Yes. So that's the thing you have to do. All you need to do is type in, obviously you need to reveal your episode and make notes for the key times, the 1 minute mark or the 2 minute mark. You have to do that manually. But when you write your show notes, you just literally put in 1:00 and the plugin will detect it and make it clickable automatically. So you do the work, obviously, to find the timestamps, but the plugin will make them clickable for you. You don't have to do anything. It just happens automatically.
So,
How long
Hani,
is it?
if
Oh,
you could
sorry.
bring up your video camera, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Before I stop sharing here. Oh, there we go. Am I back?
there he is, the man, the legend, the Hani
Yeah.
Mourra. Hani, brilliant presentation, great tools to assist in repurposing our content that we should all be doing to multiple locations. Chat room was going crazy and excited about it. I hope everyone will go to repurpose.io/IPD. Check it out. You've got nothing to lose. And Hani, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate your support and energy with International Podcast Day. You've always been a great friend, and you're just a welcome person to the entire podcast community. And I thank you.
Thank you. And thank you guys for all the hard work for making this event happen.
Uh,
It's
yeah, it is. But, I put most of that on Dave. So we're good. And come September, my doctor always doubles my medication. So I'm good to go.
awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for making this happen.
You bet. So, folks, really appreciate you joining us on this session. We've got another one coming up next from China, and that'll be coming very shortly. Hang tight.